Let's wait for just a couple more people to jump on. And we're going to actually get our cupcakes too. Great. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight. We're really excited to have Jennifer and her son Fleetwood from Trophy to help us with doing some Hanukkah cupcake decorating. If everybody wants to switch from their gallery view so that you can see what Jennifer and Fleetwood are doing, so they can walk us through how to decorate the cupcakes. We'll all be able to see better that way.
Everybody ready?
I think so.
Do we get started?
Yeah, that would be.
Okay, great. I'm Jennifer from Trophy Cupcakes. This is my son Fleetwood, and he helps me decorate cupcakes all the time. So I thought that it would be really fun if he could help me tonight. And if you have questions, I will try, maybe Amy or somebody, if you see questions, you can tell them to me. That way Fleetwood and I can focus on decorating, and then you can let me know if there's any questions that people are asking.
Perfect. I will man the chat window.
Great. So I wanted to start just like everyone out there, and we're just unpacking our bag. And I do have, and I'm going to go slow, so there's plenty of time, just like we're in a cooking class and you can go and grab what you need from your kitchen. But I did grab a lot of little containers so that we could undo all of the sprinkles and all of the little picks in here, and then put them in a dish, because that helps just to be really organized and kind of to have everything that we're going to be using out in front. These are a fun little kind of, I don't know what you call that, like a spray pick, super fun. So we'll put those in a dish. When I'm decorating, I'll hold everything up here just because I know you can't see right in front of me. Why don't, yeah, help me, Fleetwood. These are the Hanukkah sugar toppers, which are super fun. So you've got dreidels and a menorah and a Star of David, a few of those in there. So just put those in your little dish. And then we've got a couple of fun sprinkle mixes. Those in a dish. And then, of course, so these are the fun little, we call them sixlets. They're like little chocolate candies with pretty blue and white colors. And then the best part are 2 containers of buttercream. These are both vanilla, but we just did one white and one blue for you. And then you'll find this interesting little thing in your bag that actually is disposable pastry bags. So there should be 2 or 3 in your bag. And these just peel apart, and this is what, if you want to use a pastry bag, this is what you're going to use. So you can disconnect those 2. The next thing is kind of getting your buttercream ready. It really depends where you left this, if it's going to be ready to go or not. And what I mean by that is if you, if it was cold wherever it was, or it's a little bit chilly in your kitchen, your buttercream might feel a little bit hard. And so when you open it up, just kind of see if it seems spreadable, if that makes any sense. If it seems too hard, what I like to do is put it in the microwave in like 10-second increments, teeny, teeny, teeny increments, because this is pure butter with some sugar in it. So if you put it in for too long, it will turn into a melted mess. But if it feels spreadable, you're ready to go. If you really want to make this light, super light and fluffy, you could re-whip it. And to do that, you would just dump this into a bowl. And then if you have a stand mixer, you could put it on for a minute and then it'll get really light and fluffy. Or you could also use a hand mixer. Or like our grandmothers, you could use your arm and a spatula and just stir it for about a minute and really try to get some air into it. but it is fine and delicious to use just straight out of the container. So that's what we're going to do. Because
Jennifer, does the icing need to be refrigerated?
no, I mean, if you were going to save it for, say, longer than 2 or 3 days, I would put it in the refrigerator. But the beautiful thing about sugar is that it's a preservative. And so buttercream is fine at room temperature for a couple of days. So I always bring mine out, the night before, just so I don't have to worry about it being too cold. But it does refrigerate and freeze beautifully. So if you don't decorate everything tonight, or you want to save this, you can put it in the refrigerator and then just bring it out, a few hours ahead of time. And then you might want to re-whip it if you have refrigerated it, and that'll get it back to its nice fluffy state. Or if you want to throw this in the freezer so that you can use it in 2 weeks, you can do that as well.
Perfect.
So nice.
Yeah, that's perfect. Some participants were wondering, do you have advice for us for a dozen cupcakes? How many toppings would you suggest?
I mean, I am one of those people that always says more is better. I was just thinking about this today because sometimes, and I say this to Fleetwood all the time, sometimes people will say that Trophy Cupcakes has too much buttercream, and he knows what an oxymoron is, because I say that too much buttercream or too much sprinkles is an oxymoron. It really is up to you and your taste. Some people like one and very simple and clean, and some people want to dip the whole thing and just have a sprinkle party. So it's what you like, and your creativity is the boss. So hopefully that helps.
And then
Definitely.
if you want to fill your pastry bags, you want to cut the tip off.
Yep, you just gotta be
But-
careful. Yep, go ahead.
You don't want to cut too much off, just a little bit, so that the topper, or I don't know which ones you guys have, but the little metal ones, and then you just slide it inside and get it to the end.
So this is if you have your own pastry tips at home. Some people might not, but of course we have a lot. But the good thing is that you don't need to have a pastry tip for these bags to be helpful. But Fleetwood's right. You just cut the tip off, even if you're not using a tip. You cut the tip off, and then we'll show you how to fill it. Do you want to show them?
Yeah. So then you fold it over so that it's kind of like half inside out. And then you want to slide your hand up in it and get a good edge kind of in between the round of your first finger and your thumb. And then get a spatula and take the buttercream and then wipe it on the side of your hand and get it inside the bag. Oops. Oop, it's a little bit sticky.
Yeah.
How big of a hole should we make? Like a centimeter, or how big do you think?
That again kind of depends on what you're doing. If you're going to drop a tip into it, it really depends what size, because they make little ones and big ones. I always recommend a small hole first, because you can always make it a little bit bigger, but you can't go back. If you're not using a tip, then it really depends. Do you want to try to like pipe words or real like fine snowflakes, or do you want it to be more of like, kind of a bigger opening so you can do bigger swirls? So again, it's sort of what mood you're in.
And then
Okay.
once you get a lot of buttercream, or as much as you can fit in there without it going over the top, you're gonna flip it back right side out so that none of it got on the outside, so it's all clean for your hand. And then you squeeze the buttercream down to the bottom of the bag. And then get all of it down there, and then you twist it off so that when you're ready to do the cupcakes, you have it.
Perfect. That's right. Yep, exactly like Fleetwood said. He's got a little bit that could squish out, which could be a little bit messy, but exactly what you're trying to do is get everything down that way so that you don't kind of have a mess coming up this way. We'll leave that how it is, just because it might be messier to try to fix it. And, sorry, mom and dads out there, but I'm just going to say this. Don't be afraid to make a mess. It's kind of what this is about. And we might be finding these sprinkles all over the rug or the hardwood floors for a couple of weeks, but that's part of the fun. So don't worry. Okay, so a couple of tools that I have here. Like I said, if you've got your own tips, you can use those. If you have an offset spatula, which is what we use to do kind of smooth domes, you can. But if you don't have one of these, just grab a butter knife, because that is totally fine. We've got that too. And so I'm just going to show you, we're starting to get our cupcake out of the box, and this is the pretty vanilla that has the blue sprinkles in it. So I'm going to take a little bit of vanilla buttercream, and this is the technique that at Trophy we would call a smooth dome. And at Trophy, we would actually use an ice cream scoop. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. I think they're down here. So we use an ice cream scoop to do this. And if anybody cares, it's 1.5 ounces, the one that we use. And so we will actually take the buttercream and get a flat scoop so that we know that there's the same amount on every single one. And we'll put that on the top of our cupcake just like that. And so then
Like about a tablespoon or so, tablespoon and a half.
that's, I hate to say it, but that might be more like 2 or 3 tablespoons.
Okay.
Again, we use a lot of buttercream at Trophy because we like that, but whatever sounds good to you. But so if you've got your little dome there, either way, like you either just put it on with a butter knife or the scoop. Now to make a nice smooth dome, I'm just going to drag the buttercream down the edges and kind of leave it tall in the middle. Hopefully you can see that. And then once I go all the way around, then I'm just going to take my knife and kind of smooth over the top. And you'll start to see it just turn into this really nice dome of buttercream. And again, it's your creativity, it's your creation. You can make it as domey or as flat as you want. You know, if you make it really domey and we're doing a different theme than Hanukkah, you could make this into a volcano. You could make it into some kind of fun character that has eyes and a nose and a mouth. Okay, so once I get that kind of smoothed out, and you know, I could go all day because I'm a perfectionist. But once you have that, then you just need to decide what you want to do next. One thing that we kind of love to do at Trophy is to cover the whole thing in sprinkles. And to do that, then you just kind of take your container or your little jar of sprinkles, and we have really big bowls at Trophy. So it's a little different, but you literally just kind of dunk it in. And just kind of carefully, and just be aware that try not to squeeze the bottom of the cupcake too much because it could come off because you're starting to have a lot of weight on the top. But you'll see that now I've got this beautiful sprinkle covered cupcake.
That looks beautiful.
Thanks. And then my finishing touch for this one is going to be one of the menorah sugar toppers. So to me, that one's done. You could keep going because we do have these fun chocolate balls. And if you want to put some of those in, that would be fun. What are you thinking about doing next, Fleetwood?
I'm filling another pastry bag that doesn't have a tip on it so that if they don't have any tips, they can see what it looks like without the tip on it.
Okay. Yeah, because it is fun to use the pastry bags, and it does not, you know, just like we were saying, you don't have to have a tip for it to be fun and for it to work. I'll just soften this up for you a little bit. Like we talked about earlier, you know, if you just kind of stir, 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 then the buttercream will start to feel a little bit more pipeable or more spreadable. Do you want to do it?
Sure.
Okay. I'll hold this. Any questions out there?
I am actually asking you them as they're coming in.
Oh, great, great, great.
But it's really, you should see one of our daughters has a really pretty one going on over here.
Good. hopefully everyone takes pictures and posts them on
That's a great
Instagram.
idea.
And then if you tag Trophy and you tag JCC, then we can all see them. That would be really fun. So Fleetwood's going to show you how he likes to pipe on one of these. Do you want chocolate or vanilla?
Oh, chocolate.
Okay.
Jennifer, as you're doing it, would you be able to show us some piping techniques?
Sure. And then I'm also going to show you, while Fleetwood's, oh, here he goes. He's ready, I think, to show you a little bit of piping. And Fleetwood, you're going to have to hold the cupcake up so they can see a little better.
So the first one that I normally do, because I just do simple things, is just a swirl. And I'm not very good at piping, but that was really bad.
It looks great. And I mean, the beautiful thing about sprinkles
Is
is
you can
that
cover up when
they
you do
cover
it.
everything up and make it look really cute. So even if you feel like your swirl didn't come out exact, then, you know, show them all the fun stuff you can do with the sprinkles.
Yeah, so I'm gonna take a pinch of one of these sprinkle buns and just, it's really messy, like she was saying, but you just sprinkle it on. You sprinkle the sprinkles on the cupcake, and then you have this, and then you can put a sugar topper on. I'm gonna take this purple dreidel and put it in there. And then I like to take some of these and just put it around. It's little chocolate candies.
Cute. That one looks really cute. Okay, so I know that not everyone has tips out there, but you know, as far as piping techniques, we use a lot of stars big stars at Trophy, and can kind of see like how giant this one is. I'm not sure if you can see it, but these are really fun for the big swirls that just cover the whole top, or you've got these little star tips as well. And it's fun to just kind of have a little kit like this in your kitchen. But again, like Fleetwood said, once all the buttercream is down towards the tip, you really want to hold the bag pretty firm in between your thumb and your first finger so that everything is moving down towards the tip, and then you have a lot of control. And so then you really can do anything. If you wanted to do like a little shell border, I'm not sure if you can see that. I had a little bit of buttercream hanging out on that cupcake, which is fine. So we could do this little shell all the way around, and I'm just pushing, making my shape, and then pulling away. Pushing, making my shape, and then pulling away. And it takes practice, but it's super fun. It's a fun thing to practice. So if you do it a few times and you don't feel like it looks right, don't give up. It's just something that really does take a lot of practice. And you just do like fun little designs all over. And then again, get the sprinkles that you like. They make everything so much cuter and sparkly. And then we've got our little Star of David sugar toppers that are so cute. And then I love these little spray things just because they're super fun and reflective.
Those are really fun.
Yeah, I love them. And these you can reuse because that little part can be washed off and you can save them for New Year's Eve or some other fun thing. So that's fun too.
Jennifer, if we have someone who's wondering if they want to do fine lines, maybe for letters, is it a good idea to thin out the frosting?
It is a lot easier to pipe fine lines when the buttercream is a little bit softer. So warming it up a teeny bit, stirring it more. But if you do, I think it would be a good idea to put it in the microwave for 10 seconds and just get it very, not so it's melted, but so that it's just very easy to move through the piping bag and out the other side. And then you can look at the very end of this and just just cut off the tiniest little amount, because then you're going to be able to have, the scissors are not very sharp. Then you're going to be able to you know, have a much finer line. That would be my recommendation. If your buttercream is thicker, it's just going to be a little bit hard to do any fine lines. And also when you're writing, like when you're trying to do fine work, don't put very much buttercream in the bag. You see, I snipped that so tiny that it didn't even open the end of the bag. So that's how tiny you want that little line to be. I'm going to show you here.
Can you microwave in the bag?
Yes, these bags are microwavable. But yeah, my biggest advice is just slow, slow, slow. Even if it's like, if it was this much buttercream, I would probably say 5 seconds and then open it up and feel it and kind of knead it and see if it's soft. But so yeah, just use a little bit of buttercream if you're trying to write, say, someone's name or a message, because you want a lot of control. And if you're holding this big bag of buttercream, it's going to be hard. So I did that. Hopefully this turns out. But then you can see that, like, I can, hopefully you can see, it's a little bit hard to see. I can write messages if I do that teeny, teeny snip, or polka dots or things like that. So try that.
That looks beautiful.
Yeah. So another thing I wanted to show you is how to fill a cupcake. And some of you might have gotten some of the sufganiyot cupcakes today, or the macarons, but that's a really easy thing to make at home if you didn't order those, because what we did was vanilla cupcake, and then there's a bunch of different ways to core your cupcake. If you want to see how we do it at Trophy, we use an apple corer. So if anyone has one of these at home, it's super cool because it just makes a core for you. You just push it all the way down to the bottom and then pull out. And then if you don't have that, that's fine. If you have a melon baller, that will work as well. And that just kind of makes, you know, a nice, and you can go as deep as you want. You see this on baking shows sometimes where they'll use the back of a silver tip and they'll push that in and it'll give you a core. Or if you don't have any of those things, everyone has a butter knife and you can just carefully make whatever size hole you want, and you're just going to take that piece out, and then that's your snack while you're decorating the cupcakes, right? Because you don't want that to go to waste.
Of course not.
Now I have a nice opening there for whatever kind of filling I want. So it's, you know, just be creative. It could be caramel that you have. It could be a chocolate ganache. It could be sprinkles. We have cupcakes that will just fill this whole center with sprinkles so that you bite into it and it's kind of like a piñata or, you know, a sprinkle explosion, and they're fun. Again, kind of messy because sprinkles get everywhere, but it's still fun. But for the sufganiyot, we filled ours with raspberry jam. I have cherry jam at home, so I'm going to use that. And I'm just filling up the center like so. Might drip a little bit if your jam is a little bit runnier. And usually when you fill, you do want to use something that's thicker, because if it has a lot of water content, it could make your cupcake soggy. But if you're going to eat them right away, it's totally fine to use something that's a little bit more watery. But say you were going to make them and serve them in a couple of hours, try to use a really thick jam or really thick caramel. And that way, you know that it's going to stay. And so for this one, we did vanilla on the top. Did you put vanilla in a bag? I can't remember. Oh, it was that one, right? Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to fill this bag a little bit more so we can do a swirl. Like Fleetwood said, you just cuff down and then kind of hold it from underneath and then push that buttercream down in there. Get it all down towards the bottom, and then just go around. And if there's a little air bubble in there, that's fine. And then just cover up your jam. Looks pretty good. And then for the topping on this one, we just took regular granulated sugar and then some cinnamon. And you can kind of make your own concoction. You need a little less cinnamon than you think you do, because cinnamon is a really strong flavor. So you saw how much I put in there, just like maybe, I think this is about a half a cup of sugar, and I probably put a teaspoon, maybe 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. And then I like a teeny bit of nutmeg as well. But this one's really strong. So if you're going to use nutmeg, it's probably a pinch, because you just want a hint of that flavor. And then you can either sprinkle this or dunk the whole thing. I'm going to go ahead and dunk it. Maybe just a little bit more on the top. And then for that one, we used a Star of David and kept it pretty simple. So that's all we did with that one. So you can really get creative with filling, because you could just think about what you have in your pantry right now. It could be a lot of different things. And you could fill them with, can you think of another thing that we filled them with? We usually like jam, caramel,
Yeah.
chocolate ganache, sprinkles.
And if you just have like little chocolate chips, you could put it in the microwave for like 10 seconds, all adding up to maybe like 30 seconds, and have it not fully melted, but like saucy. And then you could put it in, and then that's just a little chocolate filling.
Yeah, that's super yummy as well.
Somebody was saying maybe peanut butter might be a good filling.
Peanut butter, and then if you also mix it with chocolate, it's really good.
Mm-hmm. Peanut butter would be
But peanut
delicious.
butter is also really good.
And you also could kind of create your own buttercream flavors, because really what we do at Trophy is our base is our favorite vanilla buttercream, but then a lot of our flavors just are adding other things in. So say you wanted to actually make a strawberry or a raspberry or a cherry buttercream, you could take your vanilla and just start with a tablespoon at a time of jam until it looks good to you. And again, try not to put too much, because it might start breaking a little bit. But you could melt chocolate and stir that in. You could do shaved coconut. You could add peanut butter. You could add caramel and just stir it all up. And then you've got really endless possibilities of how many kinds of buttercream you could make. What else should we show them?
I don't know.
We showed you filling. We showed you how to roll it. I'm trying to think of other questions people have asked in other classes. I'm curious to know if anyone makes their own cupcakes from scratch, because that's really fun. Or do you just like to buy them?
Is there an easy way for you to show us how to make florets or little flowers?
Let's see. I'm trying to think. I mean, we use like a specific tip at Trophy to make flowers. This is just a super simple way, but almost like if you just cut off. So if you've just got a round tip in a bag, you could do it by just making little dollops in a flower shape. But actual piped flowers is a little bit more complicated, and you'll have to have a little bit of experience using certain tips. But if you just do little rounds like that,
Oh, that's really pretty.
you could do a simple flower and then, put a little candy in the center and then do some sprinkles around the edge.
Sure.
So that's kind of a, really simple way to do a flower. The cinnamon sugar smells really good. Okay, there's my little sparkly flower, if you can see it. Fun. I think that's all that Fleetwood and I have to show you tonight, unless there's questions or things that I'm not remembering.
How did you get that really pretty swirled color in the frosting?
Oh, good one. Let me get another pastry bag, because I used the 3 that were in our kit. but I think I have more. Yes. Okay. Hang on. So to do that, we use a little bit of food coloring. I've got some gel food coloring here. If you don't have gel and you have liquid, what you can do, and don't cut the tip off the end yet, but roll it down like Fleetwood showed you. And then if you have liquid, just do a teeny tiny drop, like in 3 places. So do one here, and one here. And then when you hold the bag up, it should go all the way down to the tip. And be careful with this because you don't want to get food coloring everywhere. Hopefully it ends before it gets all the way down there and that you don't put too much. And then fill your bag with buttercream. And that streak is just going to automatically go into the buttercream. It's like magic. And I want to show you, but let's see here. If you have a gel, I use gels because the other ones are just a little bit too watery for me. And so I just put a little bit on the end of the knife. And if you have pastry paint brushes, which is what we use at Trophy, you can use a little paintbrush to paint up the side. But if you don't, a knife works just fine. And Fleetwood, if you can get more vanilla buttercream out of the fridge, and we'll put it in the microwave like we told everybody you can do. Because we, of course, have gone through our buttercream. But I'm not sure if you can see this, but I'm just making stripes inside the bag. And you could use multiple colors. You could do, do kind of a rainbow going around.
Yeah, we can see it. That looks really great.
Okay, great.
We have a question from Carico.
Okay.
I'm going to just allow them to talk and ask you directly.
Okay. The lid. Like she's muted.
Yeah.
Caracos, can you unmute?
Why are they asking us to unmute?
Yeah, I can't unmute them, but you can type in your question in the chat if that's easier. Oh, there you go. It looks like you're unmuted now.
Come on. Did you have a question, Kellen?
No.
Kellen wanted to know how many cupcakes you've decorated ever.
Oh, wow. I might need a calculator for that. So Trophy's been open 14 years, and I started making cupcakes when I was 8, which was 42 years ago almost. I'm gonna guess 100,000, but it might be more than that. I have no idea. I should probably try to figure it out. A lot of cupcakes, a lot.
Can I see them all?
I wish I had pictures of every cupcake that I decorated. I can show you the ones that Fleetwood and I have done so far. Once you start putting them all together, they look really, really pretty. Hopefully everyone is having fun out there. I wish I could see all of your kitchens and tables and everything. So Fleetwood is making a little bit more buttercream for us because I want to show you what my striped painted bag is going to look like once we do this. You can see him back there just doing the 10 seconds by 10 seconds so that it's not over.
And in between, you want to mix it around with a spatula if you can. The first few times, if it's just come out of the fridge, it'll be too hard to mix with a spatula, but around the 3rd time, you can start mixing it.
What is your favorite cupcake flavor?
That's always a hard question for me. So if I could only pick one forever and ever, or like on a deserted island, I think I would pick chocolate vanilla because I just feel like it's classic and I never get tired of it. But a lot of times my favorite changes with the seasons, and I really end up only wanting to eat like the seasonal cupcake, like gingerbread, or actually the souffle yolk cupcake has been my favorite lately. the mixture of vanilla and jam and cinnamon and sugar with that hint of nutmeg. It just really tastes yummy to me right now. What's your favorite?
My favorite is carrot cake because it's like not a normal cupcake. There's like vegetables in it. But
Is that why you like it? Are you sure?
no, but it's just like there's a bunch of different things in it. There's grated carrots, golden raisins, walnuts,
Pineapple.
and pineapple. And then my favorite buttercream is the cream cheese buttercream. So yeah, I like that one because one, the buttercream and all the different components that are in the cupcake.
What's the best seller at Trophy?
It's a tie between red velvet and salted caramel. If you're talking about, you know, kind of our everyday flavors, those two are neck and neck. But some of our newer flavors, things we've launched in the past couple of years, have gotten really close to those, like cookie dough and cookies and cream are both really popular. So I wonder if at some point those are going to, you know, break ahead and be the winners over the classic red velvet and salted caramel. Okay, so I put my buttercream in there. And hopefully you will see that you get this really fun stripy effect when you do that. So it's kind of a fun way to do it. I mean, there's other ways to make stripes in your pastry bag. Some people will take each color separately and kind of pipe a line of it. I don't know if anyone watches any of these cake decorating shows or challenges or Instagrams, but you can pipe, say, a line of the blue that you got in your kit and a line of white on a piece of plastic wrap, and then kind of roll it up and then put it inside your pastry bag. And then it sort of gives you these two perfect lines of color. That's kind of a fun way to do it too. But I like this kind of stripy way of doing it. It looks, I don't know, a little bit artistic, I guess, like just a little more of that ombre effect of where it's kind of light then dark then light. So I like that.
Yeah, and once it was warmed up, it looked like that was really easy to do.
Yeah.
It came out really easily.
Yeah, so that buttercream that I just used, Fleetwood it warmed up a little bit more than just straight out of the container, and it does make it easier. You just have to be really careful to not go too far because then it could get a little too soft real fast. So yeah, that one turned out cute. What else does everyone want to see? I bet there's a lot of people out there that just want to eat their cupcakes now. And I don't know what we're gonna, one thing I did want to say, Fleetwood and I are sitting here decorating 12 cupcakes, and some people do think like, oh gosh, it's too much, even with 6 for a lot of people that got the 6-pack. These actually freeze really well. And my mother-in-law is the one who convinced me of that, because being an old school baker, I always think everything has to be fresh. Nothing can be refrigerated or frozen or whatever. But she lives in Gig Harbor, and so she started freezing our cupcakes so that she could always have them. And she recommends just putting them on a cookie sheet, put them in your freezer until they're really hard, and then putting them in an airtight container from there. And then when you want to have it, just bring it out, defrost it at room temperature on your counter. Unless you have cats like ours who eat cupcakes if you leave them on the counter. So we have to put ours in a cupboard or they will get eaten by our cats. So be careful of that. Yeah, you can freeze them. Any other questions out there?
Our cupcakes look really festive.
Oh, good.
I can tell you that. And we used almost all of the decorations in our 6-pack box.
Oh, good. So I had some little bit of food coloring on my butter knife and then just started to finish this one that had vanilla buttercream on it. And it just gave me a beautiful like trophy blue color of buttercream. So that was a happy little accident right there.
Can you freeze them with all the frosting on it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The buttercream freezes really well. And it, you know, sometimes if it defrosts and it's really warm in your kitchen, it could get a little bit, you know, doesn't sound nice, but where it looks a little sweaty, like, but yeah, there's one of the cats that likes buttercream right there. We always have to hide the cupcakes from them. But most of the time, if you're just trying to, you know, bring them to room temperature slowly on the counter, you wouldn't even be able to tell. It'll just defrost beautifully and it will look like a perfect cupcake and taste delicious, and you'll never know that it was frozen.
I think we have time for one more question, and it looks like Lori Erickson. I just unmuted you if you want to ask your question.
Hi,
Hi.
I have sort of a practical question, I guess.
Yeah.
Where did you get the name Trophy? And do you have trophy cupcake aprons to sell?
Good question. The name Trophy was just a bunch of girlfriend. Like, I didn't know what we were going to name it. Was a dream of mine for such a long time that when I started thinking about opening a cupcake shop, it was 1998, and I was in New York and saw a couple of other people had done it, and there was nothing like it in Seattle. And so at first I thought it was just going to be called Cupcake because that seemed original enough. But then over the 10, 11 years that it took me to write the business plan and figure out how the heck you open your own business, I realized that it needed a more unique name. And I just had all of my girlfriends come over with the stipulation that they had to bring a list of names that they thought could be good. And we just went around. I think maybe everyone brought a little bottle of wine as well. We just went around and everyone had to say their idea. And most of them were terrible or ridiculous or a joke. We had a lot of fun that night. We did not think that we came up with the name Trophy Cupcakes, but one person had said Trophy. And the next day, a couple of my friends called and said, you know, the only one that's sticking is Trophy. And I keep thinking that it's a symbol for the best. It feels nostalgic because most of us got trophies as a kid, and it just feels really good. So my husband does graphic design and all of our computer work, and I had him drop it into a fake logo because we didn't even have a logo at that point. And we just sat with it, printed it out, had it on the wall, kept looking at it, and it just stuck and we liked it. So that's the origin story of Trophy. And I will have aprons for sale. It will probably take a week more to get them from the printer. But I'm glad that you asked that because they are there and we are trying to get them out. I know it's not going to be in time for Hanukkah, but yes, we will have the classic Trophy aprons that you see in our shops with the brown with the cute logo. So stay tuned. If you follow us on Instagram, we'll for sure announce it there and you'll know when they hit the online store, and they'll probably be in the party section under the wine. We're trying to make more categories, but not enough tabs. So everything gets crammed in that party section.
I like the one you have on as well.
Oh, thanks.
That's
I
cute.
did some cupcake classes through a website called craftsy.com, and there's 7 segments, and I've done 3 of these. If you look on our Instagram in the what do you call it, the bio, there's a link that goes straight to our classes on there, but I had to have a different apron every single day. So my friend who owns a company that makes fun stuff did all these fun, you know, my superpowers baking is one of them, but I just did fun aprons for every day of the shoot.
So cute. Jennifer, thank you so much. And Fleetwood, thank you. I really
Yeah.
appreciate all of those piping techniques.
I really want to see everyone's creations. So find some way, tag Trophy Cupcakes if you can share. But yeah, I hope that everyone had a great time. And if you have questions, you can ask them on Instagram. You can ask them on info@trophycupcakes.com. But we're always here to help you have more fun with cupcakes.
Thank you. Well, this was fun. We really appreciate your time.
Yeah, of course, anytime.
Thank you, Jennifer and Fleetwood.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So
All right,
much
happy
fun.
Hanukkah, everyone.
Yes, happy holidays to you.
Happy everything. Happy eating cupcakes. That's what really is going to make you happy right now. Okay, bye everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.